Environmental protection. Our learning outcomes after this report are the following. Expound the Environmental Protection Act by viewing it internationally and nationally. Study the roles of environmental social workers. Lastly, identify environmental problems and discuss the ways to solve them as future social workers. Rational. These will be the questions that will be answered after the report. What is environmental protection? What is the reason for environmental protection and social work profession? What is the relationship between the social environment and the social work profession? What is the environmental sustainability and why is it important to social work? Lastly, how can social workers help the environment? Now, we will be having a short motivation or icebreaker. This will be a short pre-test pop quiz to know your surface knowledge regarding our topic. Now, let's proceed into introducing the background of our study.
Hi guys, this is Flora Mail Razalo, and today we will be discovering the background of environmental protection for international setting. Our environment faces several problems, and many of these seem to be worsening with time, bringing us into a time of a true environment crisis. It is therefore becoming increasingly important to raise awareness of the existence of these issues, as well as what can be done to reduce their negative impact. And here are the key issues. Number 1, pollution, also called environmental pollution. The addition of any substance, solid, liquid, or gas, or any form of energy such as heat, sound, or radioactivity to the environment at a rate faster that it can be dispersed, diluted, decomposed, recycled, or stored in some harmless form. Pollution of the air, water, and soil caused by toxins such as plastics, heavy metals, and nitrates caused by factors such as toxins and gases released by factories, combustion of fossil fuels, acid rain, oil spill, and industrial waste. These all kinds of pollutions can have negative effects on the environment and wildlife and often impacts human health and well-being. Number 4, waste disposal is a collection, processing, and recycling or deposition of the waste materials of human society. An excessive amount of waste is produced and dumped in the oceans. Nuclear waste is particularly dangerous, as well as plastics and electronic waste. Number 5, ocean acidification. The increase in the production of carbon dioxide by humans causes the ocean's acidity to rise, which has a negative impact on marine life. Number 6, loss of biodiversity. A decrease in biodiversity within species and ecosystem, a given geographic area, or Earth as a whole. The species and habitats are becoming extinct due to human activity. This causes an imbalance in natural processes like pollination and poses a threat to ecosystems. Coral reef destruction is particularly affected. Number 7, deforestation is the purposeful clearing of forested land. It also means loss of trees in order to make space for residential, industrial, or commercial projects. That means that less oxygen is produced and temperature and rainfall are affected. Number 8, ozone layer depletion is a gradual thinning of Earth's ozone layer in the upper atmosphere caused by the release of chemical compounds containing gaseous chlorine or bromine from industry and other human activities. Pollution caused by chlorofluorocarbons in the air creates a hole in the ozone layer which protects the Earth from harmful UV radiation.
Number 9 is acid rain. Pollutants in the atmosphere such as sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides causes acid rain, which has negative consequences for humans, wildlife, and aquatic species. 10 is public health issues. Lack of clean water is one of the leading environmental problems currently. Pollutants in the air also causes issues such as respiratory disease and cardiovascular diseases. Environmental protection focuses on solving the problems arising from the interaction between humans and the environmental systems. This includes issues related to conservation, pollution, loss of biodiversity, land degradation, or environmental policy. The key aim of the environmental protection is to prevent degradation of the natural environment, which is affected by the increasing of the population, technology, and overconsumption, all of which have created a negative impact on the environment and to continue to put humans and animals at risk. Another element of the environmental protection is resource management. This is the way humans interact with the natural world in order to protect and preserve natural ecosystems. This may involve considering ethical, economical, ecological variables in order to limit environmental degradation. Some of the biggest problems in the environmental protection today are related to fossil fuels, which are related to pollution, climate change, and natural resource depletion. Another environmental issue that has been gaining prominence is water pollution by plastics, which had a negative impact on marine life and ecosystems. So what are the objectives of the environmental conservation? Environmental conservation helps to preserve the diversity of species that share our planet for the benefit of nature and the people. A healthy biodiversity means clean air, fresh water, more productive soils, the ability to recover more quickly from a natural disaster, and the capacity to adapt more easily to a changing climate. The environmental conservation enables nature to get on with the job of keeping the planet healthy. Conserving the environment is extremely important because of a lot of environmental degradations that are irreversible, or it will take hundreds and hundreds of years to fix, and this can also be very dangerous to humans and animals. So we will be talking about the environmental protection in the Philippine setting. So in the Philippines, we Filipinos are already feeling this effect. From low pressure typhoons, it has evolved into super typhoons with some incidences of tornadoes. Monsoon rain warning elicits fear as it can bring flash floods. Temperatures rise and our heat index has increased dramatically. There is a long list of environmental issues, but in reality, they are intertwined with each other and need serious attention from all of us. So what are the top 5 environmental issues in the Philippines? Number 1, pollution. Pollution in context is the introduction of contaminants into the environment that causes adverse change. It is present through noise, air, and water. As we produce more noise, it can interfere with the behavior of certain animals in our ecosystems. And also, on some studies, the effect of sound waves turns into heat that causes slight changes in our temperature in the environment. Air pollution is what we can often see in urban places. Smoke belching vehicles, gases from factories are the culprits in contributing air pollution. On water pollution, incessant throwing of garbage and inappropriate waste disposal affects our bodies of water, which in turn cause trouble in marine life. Let's proceed to number 2. Number 2 is global warming due to the emission of greenhouse gases. In almost any activity, we emit greenhouse gas such as using our electricity, cooking, and driving our cars. As we breathe out, we also produce carbon dioxide. And the more people in a certain area, the bigger carbon dioxide are emitted into the environment. And as these gases are produced, it generates heat, causing a change in the climate that causes global warming. Number 3 is overpopulation. Overpopulation seeds into a lot of problems, with the need of new homes, the development of new buildings, and establishments are in order. After which the demand for electricity, food, and other greenhouse gases also increases. Scarcity of food can be experienced due to the limited ability of animals to populate fast. Thus, these honest people nowadays resort to using chemicals and medications to boost and fake growth of these animals. Overpopulation also means having more garbage to dispose. Number 4 is natural resource depletion. Mining and quarrying has become rampant over the years and are to be blamed for destroying the beauty of our environment. Among the natural resources that we have are oil, water, and forest. These are the top 3 on the list. Fresh water, in reality, is only 2.5% of the world's total water. If the problems affecting our bodies of water continue, the demand of drinking water will increase, causing water shortage and worse, famine. Oil, on the other hand, is used every day for transportation of goods and electricity. And lastly, according to statistics, deforestation contributes to an estimate of 12% to 17% of greenhouse gases emissions per year. Trees emit oxygen and filter the air. But with lesser trees, flash floods are likely to happen. So that is one of the scariest environmental issues that the Philippines are experiencing now. And lastly, number 5, waste disposal. Improper waste disposal creates a hazardous problem to everyone. It may infect people not only physically, but through the air and water. Garbage thrown in the rivers and canals may not only block our waterways, but it invites rodents to infect the water and soon be transferred to humans. Clogged waterways have a tendency to spill, causing flash floods, which is what is happening here in our country. Likewise, the lack of enough dump sites and landfills is also a hindrance in helping solve our garbage management crisis. So these are the top 5 environmental issues that the Philippines is currently experiencing. So it's kind of scary, right? So I'm going to share a little trivia about the Philippines. The Philippines is one of the 18 mega biodiverse countries around the world. This contains 2/3 of the Earth's biodiversity and is between 70 and 80% of the world's plant and animal species. The Philippines ranks 5th in the number of plant species and maintains 5% of the world's flora. Species Species endemism is very high, covering at least 25 genera of plants and 49% of terrestrial wildlife. Amazing. While the country ranks 4th in bird endemism and considered to host most number of marine species in the world. The Philippines is also one of the world's biodiversity hotspots with at least 700 threatened species, thus making it one of the top global conservation areas. So, let's talk about the Environmental Protection Act. This was in force in the year 1986 with the aim to protect and improve the environment and matters associated with it. The Environmental Laws or Amendments Bill is a draft of the proposed amendment in the Environmental Protection Act in the year 1986 and the National Green Tribunal Act of 2010. The amendments are done with an objective of providing a concept of a monetary penalty for violations and contraventions. The objectives of the Environmental Protection Act is to protect and improve the environmental conditions and to implement the decisions made at the United Nations Conference on Human Environment that was held in Stockholm in the year 1972. This is to take strict actions against all those who harm the environment. To enforce laws on the environment protection in the areas that are not included by the existing laws. This is to give all the powers to the central government to take strict measures in favor of the environmental protection. So I'm going to give another fact about the Philippines. The Philippines ranks 7th globally for coastal governance laws. In the 1987 Philippine Constitution provides that the state shall protect the nation's marine wealth and its archipelagic waters, territorial sea and exclusive economic zone, and reserve its use and enjoyment exclusively to Filipino citizens. The same constitution provides that the state shall protect and advance the right of the people to a balanced and healthful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature. It also provides for the protection of the preferential rights of the subsistence of fishers and local communities and the use of inland and offshore fishing resources and provides for support in the conduct of their livelihoods. Pioneering environmental NGO, Haribon Foundation, founded in the year 1972, has sparked the environmental movement through its research and advocacy work for critically endangered Philippine eagle, which through the years expanded the work into national protected area system, threatened species and community-based and local government-led conservation and resource management. In the year 1999, it organized a national network of fisher MPA managers called the Pamana Casa Pilipinas from 122 MPA member sites across the country, which became an important national player in advancing the cause of small-scale fisheries and marine conservation. International NGOs like Oceana Philippines, while working for fisheries reform, was one of the leading catalysts in the presidential proclamation of the Philippine rice or the Benham rice into a largest marine reserve in the country. A growing number of universities now engage with the government and NGOs towards the building a more suitable environment and development. University of the Philippines and other leading universities are active not only in its knowledge generation, but leveraging impact by the influencing environmental policy and advocacy. The church is also an active campaign for a more just and sustainable communities. It is quite common for Catholic priests and laypersons to lead environmental campaigns and advocacy against coal, mining, and other environmental violations across the country. Let me give the floor to Floramie Ryan.
Hi everyone, my name is Floramie Ryan and we are from Group 5. Presidential Decree 1586. The Environmental Impact Assessment System was finally established in 1978 with the enactment of Presidential Decree number 1586 to facilitate the attainment and maintenance of rational, orderly balance between socio-economic development and environmental protection. EIT is a planning management tool that helps government decision makers, the proponents, and the affected community address the negative consequences arise on the environment. The process assures implementation of environment-friendly projects. Republic Act 6969, Toxic Substances in Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990. The law aims to regulate, restrict, or prohibit the importation, manufacture, processing, sale, distribution, use, and disposal of chemical substances and mixtures that present unreasonable risk to human health. It likewise prohibits the entry, even the transit, of hazardous and nuclear wastes and their disposal into the polluting nuclear waste and their disposal into the Philippines' territorial limits. For whatever purpose and to provide advancement and facilitate research and studies on toxic chemicals. Republic Act 8749 Clean Air Act of 1999. The law aims to achieve and maintain clean air that meets the National Air Quality Guideline. Values of criteria pollutants throughout of the Philippines, while minimizing the possible associated impacts to the economy. Republic Act 903, Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. The partnership with the stakeholders, the law aims to adopt a systematic, comprehensive, and ecological solid waste management program that shall ensure the protection of public health and the environmental. The law ensures proper segregation, collection, storage, treatment, and disposal of solid waste through the formulation and adoption of best eco-waste products. Republic Act 9275, Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. The law aims to protect country's water bodies from pollution from land-based sources, industry and commercial establishment, agriculture and community household activities. It provides for comprehensive and integrated strategy to prevent and minimize pollution through a multi-sectorial and participatory approach involving all the stakeholders. Republic Act 9512, Environmental Awareness and Education Act of 2008. This act provides for promotion of environmental awareness through environmental concept and principles, environmental laws, the statement of international and local environment-based practices, the threats of environmental degradation and its impact of human well-being, the responsibility of the citizen, the environment, and the value of conservation, protection of rehabilitation of natural resources and the environment. The Department of Education, the Department of Education, the Commission on Development Authority, Department of Social Welfare and Development. In coordination with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Department of Science and Technology and other relevant agencies shall be responsible for implementing public education and awareness programs on environment protection and conservation under EO 192. AMB is mandated to provide research and laboratory services and serve as secretariat and the adjudication of pollution causes. Then, under EO 320, EMB is designated as a secretariat of the designated national authority for CDM of the Kyoto Protocol to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The next is international commitment.
These are the international commitments: Vienna Convention for the Protection of Ozone Layer, Montreal Protocol on the Protection of the Ozone Layer, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and the Kyoto Protocol. Next is the Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants. Next is the Basel Convention on the Control of Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Waste and their Disposal. Lastly, Rotterdam Convention on the Prior Informed Consent Procedure for the Certain Hazardous Chemicals and Pesticides. Functions, and this is how it works. First is advise the Secretary on the matters relating to environmental management. Second, formulate plans and policies and set appropriate environmental quality standards for water, air, and noise for the prevention, control of pollution, and protection of the environment. Lastly, exercise direct supervision over its regional offices in the implementation of plans and programs. The central and regional offices of the Bureau discharge both staff and regulatory functions. Functions: issues permits, clearances under the Republic Act 8749, Republic Act 9003, Republic Act 9275, Republic Act 6969, and Presidential Decree 1586, and monitor compliance to the said laws. 1. Provide Secretariat support to the Pollution Adjudication Board per Executive Order 192. Next is provide Secretariat support to the National Solid Waste Management Commissions as provided for the Section 4 of Republic Act 9003. Lastly is develop and implement a research and development program. Functions: environmental and compliance monitoring and study of existing and potential environmental problems and issues. 1. Implement a system for recognition of the environmental laboratories. Next is promote public information and education to encourage participation of an informed citizenry in environmental quality planning and monitoring. Lastly, this will serve as a focal point agency for international agreements or commitments.
Our assigned topic is all about programs and services of environmental protection.
While climate change is denied, debated, and routinely discussed as a phenomenon, the effects of which will be seen in the future, people the world over, particularly those with the fewest resources, are already feeling those effects and reeling from their impact. As a profession dedicated to supporting the most vulnerable among us, those disproportionately affected by the environmental disaster, social workers can play a key role in the fight for environmental justice, helping to prevent and address the consequences of climate change through education, advocacy, community, organizing, and research.
An interdisciplinary approach is essential. Environmental justice, agri-social workers is everyone's business. Social workers are needed to educate and bring people together to change communities. Social workers are key players. Social work profession is fundamentally well suited to environmental justice work. Social workers are change agents. We begin with a person in environment framework, an understanding of the importance of relationships and coalition building, a systems perspective, and the skills to engage, assess, and intervene at multiple levels. Social workers values serving the most vulnerable groups with a couple scale of engagement, assessment, planning, and intervention.
How social workers can step up. Social work rules on climate change span the micro to macro spectrum. They are helping professionals who are essential in meeting needs related to the human-caused problem of climate change, helping mitigate climate change and its consequences. Social workers tend to focus on developing clients' resilience or ability to adapt rather than resistance to the structural inequalities and policies that create such widespread vulnerability. Social work practice with individuals and families is extremely valuable and important. Social workers have an ethical commitment to pursue social action and change. Social workers will need to lead the efforts to address the climate-related disasters.
Research and education. In the area of research, social work scholars have made calls to action for the profession to engage in environmental and climate work.
Now, let's proceed to the Environmental Management Program. Environmental management programs support the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, environmental policy, and the overall goal of reducing negative environmental impacts. These programs were established to assure compliance with the federal, state, and local environmental regulations. Each program includes specific requirements that are documented in the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences and Environmental Management System manual as well as corresponding written plan, procedure, or instruction. So there are 10 environmental management programs, namely the air emissions, energy management, green purchasing, hazardous material management, hazardous waste management, pesticides, solid waste management, storm water management, wastewater, and water consumption.
First program, air emissions. This program includes performance standards for the boilers, emergency generators, and incinerators located in the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences or NIEHS campus. This program also encourages and supports alternative transportation including bus, carpool, and telework options. Second program is energy management. This program seeks to reduce electricity consumption associated with National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, laboratory, utility, office, and outdoor operations, and support health and human services. National Institute of Health agency-wide efforts to reduce campus building energy intensity and increase usage of renewable energy. Program is green purchasing. This program encourages the purchase of recycled content materials, energy-efficient equipment, alternative fuel vehicles, bio-based products, environmentally preferable products, and non-ozone depleting substances. Fourth is hazardous materials management. The program provides criteria for the safe and environmentally sound storage, handling, transportation, and disposition of hazardous materials used in laboratory research, support and maintenance operations, and construction activities. Fifth is hazardous waste management. This program provides for the management of hazardous waste to ensure that such waste are identified, accumulated, stored, transported, treated, and disposed or recycled in an environmentally sound manner.
Program is the pesticides. This program follows integrated pest management or the IPM principles when controlling pests in the animal facilities inside campus buildings and on campus grounds through limited pesticide application in a manner that is effective yet safe for the environment, personnel, and research activities. Number 7 program is the solid waste management. This program ensures that solid waste are identified, classified, collected, transported, stored, recycled, treated, and or disposed safely and in a manner protective of human health and the environment. Maximization of the quantity of material diverted from the landfill either by recycling, reuse, or a reduction in quantities used is a primary objective. The 8th program is the storm water management. This program focuses on reducing the potential for outdoor petroleum and chemical spills and minimizing the impact of construction projects on the stormwater conveyance system. The 9th program is the wastewater. This program reduces the potential for pollutants to enter the sanitary sewer system through effective pretreatment, source reduction, proper chemical disposal, and other wastewater management programs. The last program is the water consumption. This program seeks to reduce water consumption associated with the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences Laboratory, Utility, Facility, and Domestic Operations.
Roles and responsibilities of the social worker should fulfill in the future will benefit from consideration variety of roles. These are the several rules for social worker in terms of environment protection and development. First is communicator. Transfer or transmit information about environment to the people. Enables people to be better prepared and empowered with information they collect. Group meetings, individual contacts, group discussion, public meetings, and etc. Second, enabler. Social worker can initiate the process and people have to follow, and at a time of difficulties may refer back to social worker. Is advisor. The role of the social work is to represent or persuade the interests of the community. An advisor argues, debates, bargains, negotiates, and confronts the evildoers on behalf of the community. Fourth is educator. Social worker as educator conveys necessary information to the community and those in a broader community for decision making and assist them to practicing new behavior patterns and skills. Fifth is guide. Social worker provides the various avenues and shows different paths while dealing the society problems related to environment like waste management from municipalities or corporation waste, then guides the people in the process of environmental development. Catalyst. The social worker accelerates the actions and reactions so that people can achieve the desired results. As a catalyst, the organization can increase the response level of people. 7 is leader. To create new schemes or programs to protect the environment. It will be followed by one who starts the program and other people. Animator. Social workers can provide direction and guidelines to proceed carrying out environmental development activities and from planning till evaluation, especially ensuring involvement of people in the dealing and problems. Lastly, social activists, to synthesizing the people in terms of protection of environment campaign. These are the examples of campaign for environmental protection. Stop climate change, protect ancient forests, save the ocean, stop whaling. Say no to genetic engineering, stop the nuclear threat. Rules and responsibilities in the Philippine setting. As part of its plan to develop communities into knowledge centers in environmental responsibility, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, recently conducted an environmental protection and management workshop. First is planner. Social worker managed to organize a workshop leader for learning forum in the thematic environmental management system, or TEMS, in order to ensure that environmental and social safeguards are maintained in the implementation of the program down to the grassroots level. Second is guide. It is also meant to provide the participants a venue for knowledge, sharing on different strategies in environmental management and disaster risk reduction and management, or DRRM. Third is organizer, employing the community-driven development, or CDD, strategy focused on empowering and building up the capacities of citizens and local government units so they will be able to lift their own communities out of poverty. Lastly is leader. highlight the new environmental patterns the country has been experiencing, which need to campaign and educate people to adjust to the new normal.
On our group chat, click our group chat, and there you will be able to see a YouTube link that is given by one of my group mates. So please click the link and watch the full video and understand what was said in the video.
Environmental issues were not a matter of concern in the years gone by. People were not aware of the grave implications of environmental degradation. Lack of awareness leads to more damage to the environment. With the rise of the internet, everyone is aware of environmental issues today. Not all of them understand the deeper meaning of each of one of those issues. However, given the state of the earth, people realize that all is not well. Environmental protection is a practice that aims to protect the natural environment from the hands of individuals, organizations, and governments. It is the need of the hour because the Earth's environment is deteriorating every day, and the reasons are human beings. They are mishandling the Earth's environment to fulfill their needs. If it goes like this, then it is difficult to say that the future generation will have a safer environment to live in. Environmentalists have been waging a political and educational campaign that has not only increased public awareness of environmental concerns, but also prompted passage of significant legislation to protect the nation's air, land, and water. For example, the Clean Air Act of 1970 established the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, and empowered it to set and enforce standards of environmental quality. However, since the 1980s, political opposition to environmental concerns has intensified. For example, some of the largest corporations in the world have sought to drill oil wells and dig mines in fragile wilderness areas, or have sought to quote-unquote get the government off their back, end of quote, when they spewed pollutants into the air and water. These businesses have spent millions of dollars to persuade the government to let them pursue such activities. It is clear that in the future, our environmental problems are not going to disappear on their own. In fact, left alone, existing problems are likely to increase and new ones will arise. What can be done? Actions needed include changing values from consumption to conservation and developing new sources of energy. From all around the globe, we all see a thing or two which is very alarming. Government, private organizations, and even individuals have been trying to fight this war, the environmental issues. As future social workers, we must think of what the future is, not just for ourselves or for the other people, but we must think of our home, our environment. We may not be able to change it immediately, but we all can fight as one and change for the better gradually. After all, it is our responsibility to take care of our environment.